Well, hey everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Excel College Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Chambers.
And I'm Isaiah Schmidt.
Yeah.
And I'm Nicole Murray.
Yeah. Hey, we're supposed to introduce you.
Oh.
Yeah, that's okay.
I've been here so much. A few times. So.
Yeah. Like 11?
No.
2 or 3?
No. 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay. Here's Nicole. She's our guest, but not a guest.
Yeah. Family guest.
She's our family guest.
There you go. Perfect.
And today we're going to talk about the practicum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, for those of you that have been listening to our episodes, which, by the way, there's 130 of you on average that listen to our episodes
Let's
now.
go.
Let's
That's
bump that up.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
At time of recording, which, we're only a year into this time of recording.
Yeah.
You know that we did an episode with Davis outlining the core program, which is our phase 1.
Cool.
But we just kicked off phase 2 with our first round of bachelor students.
Go.
And
That's
they
awesome.
are crushing it. And so we wanted our friend Coco or
Yeah.
Nicole. Yes.
Where's the name Coco come
She
from?
did.
Evan.
My kid.
Nice.
Yeah.
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 He couldn't get Nicole out, so
Coco.
That's
came out
Coco.
as
That's
Coco.
awesome.
And then I just let it fly at all team one night. And
It's become a thing.
It's
now.
Nice.
It's-
It's a great nickname.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a good
Yeah,
one.
it is. Yeah.
I think it could be her Missy Elliott rap name.
Coco.
Her backup dancer. Missy Elliott backup dancer. Um,
Don't get that reference, but
you don't know Missy
Really?
Elliott?
no. Was she
Oh,
at the
he's
Super
too
Bowl
young.
last night?
No.
Was she up there dancing
No one listening to this is going to get that reference.
Wait.
Okay, if you are listening to this and you don't know who Missy Elliott is.
with? Yeah.
We're millennials. That's what's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, we're out of touch.
We are.
Anyways, we're going to talk about the practicum today because that's
Yeah.
what phase 2 is. And that's Nicole's job. She runs
Let's
phase
go.
2.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, do you want to explain what is the practicum?
Yeah.
What's our heart behind practicum? What are we trying to do here?
Yeah. So, practicum, in comparison to the core, it's continuation of who you are, but now the who you are gets to move into, okay, what do you do
Hey, yo.
with that?
Yeah.
And so we learn, like in the core, that actually we start from who we are. And so in the practicum, it's your same amount of time as the core. So you're in a 15-month journey, and you're actually in a field of study working on a skill. And so you're actually literally like practically out there in a field of your choice, which field of your choice, the term we use for that is emphasis. And so you're out there pursuing an emphasis in that field of study, pursuing a skill, while at the same time building your character through something we're going to talk about later called our 4 virtues.
Yeah, Austin's going to talk
Nice.
about that
Yeah.
next episode. Yeah. So essentially, phase 1, classroom.
Yes.
And you're working side job, or not side job, I mean, you're a part-time job.
Yeah.
And then, in the homes, coaching, discipleship, all the things.
Yep.
Phase 2, we still doing coaching, discipleship, homes,
Yes.
all
Yeah.
the things?
Yeah. They're all of our students are they're still involved actually in quite a bit. They are still involved in Bible. You're still on a cook team. You still are participating in life with your coach, with your housemates. Some of our practicum students even actually kept their job that they had through the core as a smaller part-time job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
awesome. So they're learning a whole new level of work-life balance,
Yeah.
owning things. And practicum is more of your schedule in the core is pretty set.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing pretty much
Yeah.
every single day. You've got an idea of what you're doing. In practicum, there's a lot more ownership of what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're setting your schedule. One of our students, shout out to Desiree, she works full time for a company called Altered State. And so now her schedule throughout the week, other than coming to Bible and all team and the things she's required to come to, she's got to set that whole thing herself.
Wow.
And her track is in management, of that retail store.
Yeah.
And so she actually is literally creating schedules too.
Yeah.
for
And
her.
so,
Yeah. And the end, so we'll talk about this a little bit more, what other people are doing. But for Desiree, the end goal is for her to actually become what they call an assistant store lead, which would be second in charge of a store.
Yeah.
So she can go help open Altered States.
Whoa.
And she could
Yeah.
move laterally throughout the whole country working for Altered
Right.
State. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Good for her.
Yeah. And so there's a literally tangible outcome of
Yeah.
I'm here, right? This is the position I'm at right now. I think she's shift leader.
Yeah.
And they have a map to get her to ASL, assistant
Right.
store lead.
Yeah.
And that's a retail management degree. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so every month, so the way that the practicum works then is that every month your what we have set up is outcomes by your employer. So every month we connect with your employer and we're like, hey, where are you at? How are they doing in this outcome? Have they reached one already? Like, are they ahead of the game? Where are they at? So we've got different students in different spots going at different paces towards those outcomes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, okay, so an overall goal as far as like once I finish the practicum, what's your goal? What's the vision, I guess, of where I'm supposed to be?
I mean, for one, like finishing whatever it is, the job that was set before you, as far as like practically. So like thinking, I'm using Desiree, we'll just use her as an example, keeping going. That one, she'd of course be able to do all the things that her job has asked of her to be able to do. But not only that you've developed the character and even the practical just life skills to be able to go from here to anywhere and bring what you have learned here out there. So bringing, time management, bringing any of the like real practical things that we talk about here on a day-to-day basis, but also really like bringing the change of your character, which is to look more like Jesus, out to anywhere that you go. And then also to one day have family, to one day, multiply the work that you did here into other areas of life.
Yeah. Well, we tell parents and families, like, our students don't just go to the marketplace looking for where can I make the most money. They actually go with the mindset of where can I add value.
Right.
But then they also start looking at value for a different way. And so we tell students this in the practicum. It's like, you could probably make more money doing Instacart right now than you can in the practicum in some cases. But can you learn the skills that are going to set you up in life, and that's what they're looking for. And so so when I was in college, I had a business management degree from University of Memphis, shout out Tigers. But most of we had classes, Memphis got a good business school, but I would always tell people I learned more actually in the marketplace than I did in the classroom. And the classroom gave me like ways of, or
vocabulary.
Vocabulary definition for things. But the actual like learning, I did a lot of that in the marketplace. And it was always like, man, I wish I had just done that. And so what we've actually done is we believe like the classroom in the core can do a lot of formation wise for your worldview. But it can't do the skill training for you. And so what we've tried to do is bring the skill training into the marketplace. And that's what we're doing right now. So
It's amazing.
For sure.
I have people all the time ask, like, what's the difference between Excel or the traditional model of higher ed and like you guys? What's the difference? And you just said the words like look more like Jesus, right? And we say all the time, like our vision statements, like to become the wise, mature, productive adult who follow Jesus into a life of flourishing. And I was talking with a parent this morning, and I'm like, high-paying job doesn't necessarily exclude high-paying job. It's just not the main thing. If your main thing is high-paying job, you're at risk of missing out on the wisdom, maturity, productivity, and human flourishing. Right? And that's more all-encompassing, or like the first button on the shirt principle. You get that one right, and they all line up underneath. You know, it's like if high-paying job is your, I don't know. Is that the main thing? Is that a good percent?
And I would even say it's important for students to know that coming in. Like if your thing is like, I want to go to college so I can get a job, then like there might be a better college, a better fit for you, because like discipleship and education can't be, in our mind, can't be separate. Like we have to do that, so we care about, are you showing up for class? We care about like, how are you acting in and out of your home? Like we care about how you carry yourself. And like, that's the stuff we're going to work with, And if you want it, like this place is going to be amazing. And if that's not what you want, then this, I don't know, might not be just fine, And it's okay. But I think it's super important for people to know that coming in too, is like our desire is not just the job thing, but actually holistic growth. So,
and then discipleship stuff, that is every day. Like that is education. Like that's life education right there. That's how do I live to my full potential as a human, like as a human that is made in the image of God. Like how do I live to that full potential? And it's in these little things every day that often, like another difference that I've seen after having 10 years ago, went to a traditional college for like 2.5 years, is that the difference is you actually have people who are with you every single day and who are going to watch your transformation from start to finish and even in the middle to be able to encourage you to keep moving forwards, even while you're working in a professional workplace.
Yeah.
And so it's not just like you've got, your RA who's, in there for the 1 year that you're there, that maybe ends up knowing and remembering your name a little bit, but like you actually have a whole entire crew of people, from facilitators to coaches to house captains, like all of the above plus more, who are in it for you and actually want to, like, as an individual, see you succeed and walk that journey alongside you and set you up well to flourish.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So tell us about like your specific role, and then and then after that, what does it look like? So we have students that are in the core now. We have students in practicum. But what's the journey like? Starting in core and then
Yeah, for sure. So my role as practicum coordinator, it shifts depending upon the season. And so in this season right now with C6, our current cohort that is in practicum, it really looks like kind of walking that day-to-day journey with them of practical things like, how do I figure out this new schedule that I have got? Like, what does it look like to manage my time? What does it look like to manage my budget? I'm in communication with many, all of our employers that students are currently working with in the workplace to see how are our students doing? How can we best support those employers? Because a lot of our partners actually like created these spots for our students. Like it's incredible. They've gone and like set something up that didn't exist before because they believe in what we're doing. And so communicating with them on, is this working? How do we, keep moving forward well? And so that's really kind of in this season, that's the gist of what I'm doing as far as my job goes. It includes probably quite a few other things. But as far as like flow goes for the whole entire thing, for practicum, so like C7 right now, they're literally just starting the core, which is incredible. But what we're doing as a team and what I'm doing right now is thinking, okay, a year from now, they're going to be in practicum. And so the phase that they're in, we've got kind of like within a phase, smaller steps at how we break it down. And so you've got your discover phase, your plan phase, and then your advance phase. And so you've got discover, which is the season that C7's entering right now. So what they've done thus far really is they've kind of figured out a little bit of, who am I outside of my parents' house? Who am I outside of all of these things? Who am I when like hard times come up and I am in a group of people and I got to learn how to work on a team? Who am I and all those things? What do I believe about God? What do I believe about what that says about, who I am as a person? And so that's where they're at. Can you go? Cool.
We just had a neighbor walk in, but all good. We keep going.
Cool. Sounds good. And so they're in discovery phase right now. So they've kind of learned a few of those things just in general about themselves. And then we care about our students' character and who they are. Like choosing your practicum, choosing your emphasis really isn't just let me pick this thing and learn how to do it. It's how do I bring who I am to the table? And so the way we walk through that with our students is we've got a wide variety of different, what culture, whatever would call personality tests. Really, it's what are your strengths? Where do you best operate? Where do you fit on a team? What are you supposed to bring to the table? And so we actually have them take a few of those tests and we look at them and we're like, okay, I can see, this person, it's cool because I can see it now looking back really at the C6 students when I go back through and look at their things. And I'm like, wow. This person, their number one strength is responsibility, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Wow.
We've got Jeremy, his number one strength, developer, which is let me figure out how to grow things. Let me figure out how to help people.
That's his number one strength?
Yeah.
I can totally see that.
Yeah, which is awesome. And he brings that to the practical side of work, which is something that I think is really important about being here, is like there's this holistic vision that exists that we live out of like your job isn't just like your job that you do that's in this little box over here. Like, we've got stuff happening on campus all the time, and a huge part of Jeremy's emphasis is taking care of like property management and all those sorts of things. And he is constantly corralling people to come help. And then he like grows people. He like participates in growing people from there. Yeah. And it's just like, it's awesome. And so going back, you've got this like discover phase. And then within that discover phase, we also have every year a career fair, which is coming up soon. So that's going to be awesome.
Yes.
And so we've got quite a few employers who come and show up that students actually get to meet. They get to like, figure out what each job is about and explore maybe something they haven't explored before. Yeah. And at that point, it's a no commitment. It's a like, let me now from here go shadow someone. And even, first of all, before I get into that, high five to you, Andrew, because this guy's constantly on the like networking relationship go. Like he is always adding people like to the vision, and it's amazing. Like, the students have so many opportunities. It's incredible.
That was our first high five. Podcast high five.
That was our first podcast high five.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yeah,
we do high fives in like the start of almost all of our meetings.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was the first podcast.
It's just like great things that people are doing.
Yeah.
It's just natural,
Yeah.
We just do it. But one of the things, like I said, they get to do is this career fair. But before they even do that career fair, what we're going to do with C7 is a mock career fair. Cool. So we're actually going to walk with them through like how do you properly shake a hand? How do you,
introduce yourself?
Right. How do you introduce yourself? Yeah. What kind of questions do you ask an employer? Because it's not just, this isn't an interview for them to ask you. This is for you to figure out what they're about.
Yep.
And so they're going to go ahead and
following
go through,
up with them and
right. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
cool.
so
dude,
that's where they're at in this discover phase. You know?
And we're learning too, just best, what do you call it? Like, gosh, my mind's not here today, but best case scenarios. I'm trying to think. Use case or I don't know. I can't think of the word. Case study. Best practices. Yeah,
there we go.
We're learning best practices because last year we did our career fair like in July, end of July.
Yeah.
And then our C6 students go to Italy in November. Yeah. And so we're really kind of pushing around, hey, like we want you to be settled before you go to Italy. Yeah. And just with class and trying to shadow and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of a crunch, and they all did great.
Cool.
And so this year we're doing it a lot earlier so that they can actually be thinking around, like they can go shadow multiple places and they can really make some good connections with employers beforehand. So,
exactly.
So, and with that, big shout out to Ethan Wendell, he's a friend of ours, runs Diamondback Truck Covers, or, he was the founder of Diamondback Truck Covers up in PA. So they've hired 2 of our students for their practicum.
Awesome.
Which is incredible. They're loving it. Stephen and Jed.
High five to them.
Doing product development, Stephen is, and Jed's doing robotics. Like, Jed used a robot to weld a 20-ton pipe at a foundry like last week. I mean, crazy. So we're going to, Isaiah and I and Austin are going to see them.
Amazing.
It's so incredible too, because I remember that's one of like my favorite parts about Excel. Is you literally walk the journey with someone all the way through. Like, I remember when Jed first got to Excel.
Yes.
And I remember sitting at a dining room table with him, and he was so excited about all of the robotics, like just different projects that he had worked on over that last summer, like before getting here. And so like, then to walk with him through his personal journey and then his professional journey, and now to be like at Diamondback, do it like on a line, working, like doing robotics.
Getting there at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
They work, and they're making real money, and they're doing it's awesome. And but shout out to Ethan was like, so Ethan, he's been a business owner for 20 years. His business survived, crazy economic times, and is now thriving during another weird economic time. And so he came before the career fair last year and just talked, this is what I'm looking for in a great employee. And just real straight, here it is, and our students love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So even this year, he's flying in just for the day, come to do the career fair, or teach the night before, do the career fair, and then roll out. Like,
awesome.
But just guys like that are willing to pour into our students and see them succeed it's really amazing. So
I remember when Jed rolled up on campus. Sorry, I had to say this.
Let's do it.
And he literally had a massive robot that he was trying to. I was the house captain of the boat house, and he's bringing this big robot in the house. And I'm like, dude, that does not fit on your packing list. That needs to go home.
It's like this is a sign of what's to come, Isaiah.
I didn't even think about that until you were literally talking. I was like, he brought a massive robot when he first showed up.
Yeah,
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, but it's stuff
and now
like
he's working with dang robots. Yeah,
right. It's stuff like that like these are just things that you wouldn't necessarily get in a traditional college. Is like someone who's there like all the way kind of through and through, and it is more than just a like distance of testing your knowledge and making sure you're like, you know, of course we're like, are you showing up to class on time? But it's not just because we're like, you need to get the grade of showing up to class on time. Yes, that's part of it. But like a wise, mature, productive adult can look in ahead to the future and be like, oh, this practice that I do now of ownership and of discipline is only going to benefit me in the future. When it comes to my job. Like our practicum students that are in practicum right now, every Monday morning we meet at 7:15, like 45 minutes before Bible even gets started at 8 o'clock. And it's like, I mean, some of them they've been working the whole weekend too. And so, but they're showing up and they're showing up for it and they're owning it. And like today, it was actually really cool. We were walking through some of our curriculum and we were doing a reading on humility and Thanksgiving. And it's just incredible because this month here's Boost. And so we're all about like Thanksgiving in this month and prayer and thankfulness. And so, and they owned it and they were awake and they had discussions with one another.
That's awesome.
And so it's just, like those little things that you're like, well, that's just what you're supposed to do. Yeah, but you got to have someone tell you that that's what you're supposed to do and then walk out the journey with you of doing it in order for it to actually become part of your character and part of what you do every day. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And people, I think, so a lot of people are probably wondering like, well, okay, what paths do you have available? And what I tell people, and so even when recruiting is like, well, the question is not what paths do we have available, because we're not a traditional school where we have to go hire a PhD professor who's got a bunch of TAs and build a whole department around a field. We have to find or work with you to find an employer that's willing to apprentice you in that field, or even willing to give you entry-level work and has training in that field. And so that's the cool thing is really the possibilities are pretty wide. And excuse me, we'll talk about this in a second, but like our students are doing everything right now from real estate and construction to robotics to paramedic to everything. And some of those courses you still have to go to like a traditional kind of vocational school to get into paramedic, you know, but you can do that here and still get the hands-on experience. And that's what's important to us is that hands-on experience. So
for sure.
So I guess let's talk about that. Let's talk about what some of the students are doing right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So they went through that Discover. They went through the phase, which we talked about, which was like planning and how do we like actually kind of like do the thing, which is all about the outcomes and everything. And then it's the advance, which is where C6 is at right now. And we've got, like you said, we've got emergency medicine. We've got Emma is currently working in data analytics.
Straight up data analytics.
Like high five to her and Luca, because they just spent so our students, when you come into practicum, you're again, because it's so wide variety of what you're doing, you could even be doing almost the same exact emphasis but still have variety in path, what you're doing, like a unique path in what you're doing according to like your goals of what you want to get ahead and do. And so like we've got a couple different students who are in what you could umbrella as like business in general, which most traditional colleges would do. But they're going to look way different. So you've got like Emma and Luca who just spent the last month preparing to work for Sunbelt Rentals, but doing a whole month's worth, about a month and a half worth actually, of like online training, of like getting to know everything from like all sorts of breakdowns of Google Analytics,
tags, Power BI training.
Everything. Like how to, Excel suite, all that kind of stuff. Anything they're going to need for when they start their job.
Well, and I think this is an important part too. So, okay, so Sunbelt Rentals is a multi-billion-dollar company.
Wow.
They do all the big heavy machinery rentals for the government, for Walmart, whenever they build all that stuff.
Whoa.
Right.
So they have a data analytics department that's literally analyzing all the data on their website and how customers interact on their website.
Dang.
A future student of ours, dad, runs a team or runs the department. I think it runs a team, and kind of reached out and said, "Hey, I think I could have the ability to have some apprentices."
Wow.
And they're paying them really well.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, sure, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And so Emma, she's very skilled business-wise. She's passionate. She's probably not going to be a data analytics person for the rest of her life. But data analytics is a job you can get in making $80,000 a year as soon as you get in. So just so people know, when we talk about the job not being the main thing, we're not discounting the job.
Yeah.
That's a legit job.
Yeah.
But Emma's going to get skills that she can actually start because she wants to run teams.
Yeah.
And so if she's doing data analytics and then she's on our marketing team, so she's learning customer retention. Those are two skills that she can pick up that she might only do for a couple of years as she's moving into management, which is what she wants to do.
Right.
And so that whole what we tell kids too is or young adults, this is not. This is not you don't have to pick your 40-year job. When I was growing up, it was you got to figure out what you're going to do for the next 40 years while you're 18 in your first year to declare a major. And there's just some insane stress around that, right?
Yeah.
And that's why you got young adults switching majors multiple times and being in college 6-7 years or not finishing. I think that the national finish rate is 63% for colleges. But what we're telling them is hey, you don't have to pick what you're doing for the rest of your life. Right. You need to go build marketable skills about in things that you're passionate about. And then if you 5 years from now you want to do something else, go do something else. But you don't have debt and you have skills that you can fall back on.
And the skills come with you.
And the skills come with you.
You don't lose.
And so that's what and so even people listening, I just want to take that pressure off of knowing what you want to, because people even come in here I really want to do this. Can I do this? And usually when on the recruiting trail, when people ask me I want to do this for sure, I know you're probably going to change your mind in 6 to 8 months, but that's totally fine. There's no setback for that.
Yep.
You can't lose for winning.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So earlier we used the phrase always be networking.
Yeah.
Must be a Chambers thing. I feel like your dad does it.
And my brother.
Your brother definitely does it.
Yeah.
And you do it.
Shout out to my brother. My brother came and talked the other night.
Yeah, it was
right?
incredible.
Works for UAG football team.
UGA.
What's UAG?
Nothing. I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something called UAG out there.
Yeah. University of Agriculture.
Anyway.
University of Georgia.
University of Georgia.
Yeah. Yep.
But but networking. Back on the networking point that I was about to make.
Yeah.
You do it often, do it well.
Yeah.
And you've built out a lot of practicums in the past.
Yeah.
Met some employers and said, hey, this is what our program is. And
totally.
What's that process look like?
Yeah. I mean, so it's so what we try to do is we get a sense of what fields are our current students interested in, and let's go try to find some employers.
Yeah.
And sometimes they bring them to us. So Desiree was hey, I work at Altered State. My manager, shout out to Natalie, is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she thinks she can do this with me. Can we do this? So then I went and met with Natalie, and Natalie said, and I explained to her about how we build out outcomes and how we work with employers. Essentially, what the question is to an employer is, what does a student, so you have 15 months with a student, what do they need to learn so that by the end of that, you can put your stamp on them and say, this person is qualified to be hired at an entry to mid-level position in this field, and I have full confidence in them.
Right.
Cool. Yeah. And there's outcomes that they need to. So Altered State already has a whole list of how they do that. Right. With their managers. So we were just hand us that. That's good. That'll work.
Wow.
And then so it depends on the business too. So some businesses, typically larger businesses, it's easier to work with. Because if you're running a small business and you got 3 employees, then everyone's doing all the things. It's kind of hard to have someone come and training up under you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, makes sense.
And so we do have a couple small businesses that we work with, and those guys are amazing. Yeah. And it's even a bigger deal for them to have an apprentice because they're pouring their hearts into somebody, and it's and they don't have time, Yeah. But so typically we work with medium-sized businesses or larger, and we just say, hey, are you willing to take someone either at an entry-level position where there's training involved for them to be able to move up, or are you willing to apprentice someone in this field? And if they say yes, then we move forward. And so what's in it for them is they get a student that they know is being coached, has high character. A lot of our students end up staying in the area for after Excel, so somebody that's probably going to stay. Yeah. And right now, like, especially in the labor market that we're in, like, people like need people that are going to commit and come work, you know?
Yep.
That's awesome. And so once a business agrees to do that, then we work with them to come up with outcomes that the student needs to achieve, which is what I was just talking about. And then over 15 months, they start pursuing them. And so Nicole connects with them every month. Like, how are they doing towards these outcomes?
Right.
And you just run from there. So like when I said they bring them to us, so like Sunbelt Rentals was, we have a future student who's signed up for C8. And so her dad hears about what we're doing. He says, hey, I think I can do this. Are you guys interested? And we're like, heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so just all kinds of, just being open.
And we walk with students through, so like some of the outcomes are, outcomes require literally just hands-on experience. Some of them do. Some of them require other job trainings before the student can even start any sort of working. It's just, like any job that you would go into, you're going to do some sort of job training. And the great part about Excel is that we actually like facilitate space for that job training. And so we've got students in work hall that actually like are spending time finishing up different certifications. They're reading different books. They are anything that they would need to do that maybe they, need to do before they get into the job, or need to be doing all along the way while they're continuously doing the job. They get to do that in a space with other students who are in practicum, and you're really continuing that like cohort vision the whole entire way through. Yeah. Which is awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, and there's some jobs some fields, I guess, industries where you still need to go through accredited training, traditional accredited training to get in there. So paramedic. So Katie Manwaring is becoming a paramedic. Yeah. But so we have partnership with AB Tech, which is our local community college, highly rated, great program. And so she's using her work hall hours to actually study for her paramedics classes, and she's out there driving ambulances, intubating. And so, for those guys that are doing some of that traditional education, their hours are actually counting towards their practicum with that, and then they're doing work on the side. So,
right,
it's awesome.
Because we're not trying to be stingy. We're open for whatever, and we want to give our students the most opportunity they can.
Oh yeah,
so
sweet. For sure.
So,
yeah.
So Emma, Katie, Jed, Steven, they're up in Diamondback.
Yeah.
Dez is killing it. Who else we got? Mari's doing culinary arts.
Yeah, Mari's doing culinary arts with AB Tech, and then is also learning some of the ropes of how do you shop for an entire college campus. Yeah. Which is amazing.
Yeah. And taking over the kitchen.
Yes. Yeah. Learning how to do all that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, just to clarify, there's like a little bit of awkward pause a few minutes ago, because it sounded, when you were like, oh yeah, it kind of sounded like you were saying, hell yeah.
Oh, okay.
But we're like, we're like,
I was like, what? Get
Nicole
it
probably
out.
would have said
Get
that on the.
it
Probably would have said that. Just clarification to everybody. Nicole didn't say that, but
I did.
But Isaiah did. So get him.
Actually, it came out of your mouth.
I did.
You did. You said it. Actually.
Dang it! I was trying to blame
in case
Isaiah.
our editor bleeps that out. She said HELL.
Man.
Yeah.
HE double hockey sticks.
She was saying, "Oh yeah." It was just so. Isaiah and I were like, "Did you just?"
What?
No.
I was like, "What happened?"
It's funny. Cool. Yeah. What Wagaspec's in one too, right?
Yeah.
He's getting his CNC machine.
Good for him.
Yeah. So he's mostly
in math. He came up to me today and he was like, "Can you take a look at my math problem?" And I was like, "I mean, I can take a look at it, but
yeah, I could take a look."
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So Jeremy's getting his general contracting license while he's doing property management.
Awesome. Right. Yeah. You got Savannah's learning all about how to do SketchUp, so for interior and exterior design, and then doing hands-on on some landscaping stuff as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we got a leadership development campus that we're building, and so Savannah's out there actually like sourcing with boulders and plants and like So all the stuff that she did on SketchUp is actually coming to life.
Yes.
And she's having to figure out where to go get it from.
Yeah.
Good for
it's
her.
amazing.
Yeah. And Katora's over at Black Mountain Home for Children and is the recreational program development assistant right now. She's assistant to the recreational director and
the regional recreational director.
Yeah.
Almost there.
And so it's all the stuff that she's doing over there too is incredible. This is a really awesome story. She was telling me last week, she she works with the kids over there, and she actually had like a few of them that she'd been working with that were kind of like, we're not too sure of you yet, kind of like, what are you doing here? And she's like doing all the games with them and just all sorts of stuff. And then she continued to pursue them. Like Couture, someone who is like embodies like, I know who I am, so I know what I'm going to do. Like confident in that through and through. And so she just continued to love on these kids. Like every single time that she's there, doesn't let any of it, change her heart or anything. And ended up actually... a couple of the girls like invited her over to come hang out. Whoa. And she was like, we like drank hot chocolate on the porch and just like got to have like build personal relationship with them. And that's also one other thing that I love about the stuff that we do here is it is local and it's immediately impactful. Like what you're doing for your practicum is immediately impactful. Like she's at Black Mountain Home for Children, who we've had a relationship with for so long, and actually like takes on a role to where then the people who are there that have been in the leadership at that space for a while actually can like rest, and they've said they know that they can trust that their vision is going to continue through and through, and the heart, like their kids are taken care of because of who she is and the love that she shares with them. Yeah. And so
it's so good.
It's like we said that phrase earlier, education is discipleship. For us, it's the same thing. Yeah. There's a phrase I use often with parents that it's like, we see the marketplace as missions. Yeah. Like, and one of the best ways to represent Jesus is just to be excellent. Like, just to be awesome. Go up to your employer and say, how do I make this place fly? And how can I, just do the best I possibly can? And
no, absolutely.
No agenda. Just want to
be a great employee. Yeah. We can't forget Megan. She's over at MAPS.
Yes.
So Mountain Area Pregnancy Services, they actually help women that are dealing with pregnancy, like high-risk pregnancies or even considering abortion. Megan works there. And they so she started working there. She was there for 2 weeks, and they were like, you're going to become our network coordinator. And like actually doing all of our fundraising development.
Wow.
Yeah. She's crushing it. So those guys are near and dear to Charity and I's heart. That's amazing. Seeing it. And Matt's killing it.
Yeah. He's essentially learning how, directly hands-on, how to run a construction business and do construction like all at the same time. Wow. And so he's like 2 days a week he's on site actually doing construction, and then 3 days of the week he's with us at work hall, but he's doing his like learning the administrative side of all that and how do you keep the business going, and it's
cool.
Awesome.
And then Emily Fountain, can't forget Emily Fountain. So she's doing administration. Nice. Part of it she's doing here actually academic. So she's actually helping Charity. So Charity's our academic coordinator. She's actually helping Charity with grading, with like keeping up where students are at and building plans for students. And then she's working at Radius Chiropractic as a medical office assistant. And so like she's learning like all it's a month worth of training in like medical terms, x-rays, patient management systems, like all that kind of stuff. And she's crushing it.
Yeah. Wow.
So.
Yep. And then we got Cass.
Oh, and Cass. How did I forget Cass? Do not tell Cass that I forgot her. I didn't forget her. Yeah. Cass is working for us over doing media, marketing, crushing it.
Oh, yeah.
So all of our socials, that's Cass.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Socials, website, newsletters.
Yeah.
Everything.
One of the hard things about naming names is
like who did I forget?
Is there one other?
I don't think we've forgotten anybody this time.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No. And we weren't even trying to name everybody. It just like
I don't have my whole entire attendance roster.
Yeah. But yeah. So that's what the practicum is.
Oh, and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Elizabeth. Yeah, but she's
the pioneer.
She's killed. She's the pioneer.
Yeah.
And Eli, if you're gonna
Elijah.
Yep.
Yeah. Elizabeth's doing worship.
Yeah.
Crushing it.
Yeah, she has had her creative showcase.
Yeah. Everyone that's going through Practicum can actually thank Elizabeth because Elizabeth was our pioneer. Yeah. So
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's what we do.
Cool.
So Nicole's crushing it.
Thank you.
Yes.
I got a great team.
Yes. Killing it.
So.
Killing the game.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so if you're interested in learning more about what kind of fields are available, then the answer is, can we find someone? Or call us,
Yeah.
And we're doing Zoom calls every Monday night now.
Yep.
That's so cool.
For prospective.
Got a few lined up for tonight.
Let's go.
Nice.
Yeah, but we do Zoom calls every Monday evening at 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
And they last for about an hour.
And you can sign up on the homepage on our website.
Yep. We're going to talk about the core, talk about the practicum, talk about what is discipleship. Education is discipleship.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a great time.
It is a great time.
Yep.
Conference season's coming up. Let's go, baby.
Yep.
It's Isaiah and I's favorite time of year.
I'm
We get to
going
travel.
to too.
Yeah. Nicole's going to come to a couple with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Austin's coming to a couple.
I think I'm going to one with you and
Said
Rochelle.
like 4 or 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Where?
I have to look and see.
Cool.
Somewhere.
That's
But
gonna be
yes.
fun. The fun place. Oh, Winston-Salem.
Is that it?
I think so.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, well, thanks everyone for joining us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And next episode, we're gonna have Austin Smith on and talk about values and virtues.
Nice.
And so values and virtues is so we have a curriculum for the core, and then we have curriculum for the practicum. And It's all about character.
Yeah.
So values and virtues is what we're talking about next. It's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
C6 has been going through it,
Yeah.
getting it started.
They're getting their virtues down.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and thanks for Nicole.
Thanks, guys.